It's weird, 24 hours ago I was in Spain, and now I'm at High Point. And maybe you were there, maybe you weren't. But welcome to Business of Design. This is episode 400, coming to you live from various locations at High Point. And right now, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see me. There's like some hides hanging behind me there on the wall. And we're kind of in between stuffing loot bags for our Business of Design 20th birthday party, which is happening tomorrow, and stuffing our faces because right now Janine and Cheryl and I are having a lovely sandwich. Hey Janine, how are you? I'm seeing you eating. Cheryl, she's of course working. She's on her phone. So many have reached out to say happy birthday. Thank you so much. It feels great to be 20. You have no idea how good it is. This time around, I really know how to work 20, if you know what I mean. I was lame the first time I was 20, but this time I got it, and I am living my best life. And during High Point tomorrow, we are going to be talking about the 20 things we've learned in 20 years. Now, some of you are thinking, my goodness, you've only learned 20 things? No, we've learned way more than 20 things, but we picked 20 things we think are fundamental to running your kick-ass business. And I'm going to kind of run through them right now as a rehearsal, which is something I never do, but Cheryl's here and she's making me. You know what that's like, right? We're glad you're here. I would say, hello, there's someone shopping at High Point behind me. Cheryl, do we have any announcements for High Point?
Hey guys, if you miss seeing us at High Point, this time next year we're going to be doing our next elite retreat in Santa Monica. We'll be sending details out soon. What we have so far is on the website. Check it for dates. Head to businessofdesign.com. And of course, if you're not already a member, we would love for you to become one as well. Thanks so much.
Wait, are you telling me there are people who listen to the podcast and they're not members?
Lots of them.
That is crazy. I can't even believe that.
Right here if you're wondering why I'm looking up.
I'm crazy. Yeah, I don't get that at all. I'm sorry if you're watching on YouTube because you're looking a little too close to me right now. But
It's
Cheryl,
rehearsal time.
It's rehearsal time. So hit me. The number one point is, should we really give this away? Okay.
Just sneak peeks.
Sneak peek. Okay. Be the expert. Okay. If you're like I was when I first started out, I wanted to make sure the clients understood I had a wealth of knowledge and expertise. And so what I would do when they would ask me to design or decorate their home, I would come to them with lots of ideas, so many ideas. And I would choose lots of fabrics for the sofa and several fabrics for the chairs. And I found the clients got really overwhelmed. And so what we're talking about at the seminar, or what we've already spoken about at the seminar, right? Because now hi, Lori Lazur, how are you?
It's over there, by the way.
Oh, the bathroom. We found the bathroom. Good. Okay. So what we talked about at High Point is just this idea that it's okay to be powerful and strong and have an opinion and be the expert. And one of the best ways you can show that to your clients is by making decisions on their behalf. We're all overwhelmed with too many decisions to make. We all have decision fatigue. I know this because my husband and I all the time will say, what do you want to do for dinner? I don't know. What do you want to do for? I'm exhausted. Can someone just pick where we're going to go for dinner? Clients feel that way when it comes to decorating their house. Should I do this hardware or that hardware? And I've learned to say, this is a hardware you should do. This is what I would do if it were my house, and any other hardware is a bad choice. So listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. The more you can stand in that expertise, the more benefit you are to clients, the more they're going to gain from having hired you, and the more they're going to rely on you and lean on you. Right? Does that make sense? All right. Cheryl's giving me the hook, like number 2, babe. Move it along. We don't have all day. We're trying to eat a sandwich over here. Oh, number 2. I feel like I should have a tattoo. I might get a tattoo. Janine, if I get a tattoo, where should I put it?
On your ass.
Okay. There we go. That's where we're at. Yes, in fact, that's a perfect place for it. The tattoo that I'm going to put on my ass is "Your fee is your brand." Now, most of my clients won't see it, Most won't see it though. Your fee is your brand. Yeah. This goes deep for Cheryl and Janine and I because we meet so many designers, and particularly those designers who become members of Boss and are going to be at the Elite Retreat, where we're totally changing things up this year. We're going to be looking at your P&L, FYI. It's going to be a whole different retreat with some very wait.
If you don't know what a P&L is, become a member.
Right, exactly. We're going to be going through your P&L. We meet so many design professionals who say that they want to service a client who's more high-end than the one they currently have. But there are 1,000 things holding them back. And one of the things definitely holding many of us back is a fee that speaks to a lack of expertise and a lack of confidence, right? So when did you really go together? You can't be an expert if you're not charging expert fees. Number 3, the formula for success. It's so funny because when I graduated from design school, it took me about 5 years to figure out that I had the wrong formula for success. I thought the formula for success was work. Do anything your clients want you to do. Try to do it with grace and enthusiasm. Bend over backwards. Don't have any boundaries. Don't charge too much. Don't piss them off. And as long as the design was beautiful, everything would be okay. I thought the formula for success was 80% creative and 20% business. 20% that annoying paperwork I didn't want to deal with, purchase orders, who needs them? I'll just send an email. 20%, that's not bad, right? If you're doing 80%, great. If you're doing 80% of the creative stuff and it's great, and then the 20% is like, you don't love it, but you get through it, that's doing pretty well. But it turns out that you cannot succeed with that backwards formula. You can't do it. I don't care how talented you are. If you can't satisfy the clients, you're not going to be in business tomorrow. So the formula for success is 80% business, 20% creative. And once you know that, you can systematize everything in the 80%, and you can make so much space in the 20% to do your best damn work. And for me, that means projects where I'm able to be super creative. I'm able to propose, much more ambitious design options for my clients because the 80% is buttoned down and systematized, and the 20% I am just spreading my wings and having a great time. So that's the formula for success. Number 4, this one is from our Business of Design CFO, Larry Goldberg. If you can measure it, you can manage it. And that goes back to your P&L, of course. If you can measure how many phone calls you get a month, you can manage that process, that intake process, and that sales process. If you can measure how much your profit margin is, you can manage your profit margin so it can grow and not shrink. If you can measure the number of inquiry calls that turn into paying clients, you can manage that number and make it grow. But if you're anything like I was 20 years ago when Business of Design first started, and I had just, I didn't have 15 steps when we first started. I had, 9 or 10, I don't know. Didn't quite have 15, but I was so busy working around the clock. I didn't have time to analyze what was going on in my business. So I wasn't measuring the most important metrics. The minute I started measuring, oh my gosh, everything became more manageable. So again, back to the retreat, when we're looking at your profit and loss statement, I can tell you by looking at your profit and loss statement where you're not managing and where you're not measuring, and I can fix that. I can tell you how to fix it. And if you fix it, I can guarantee you'll make more money. So that's a pretty good one. Number 4 is a pretty good one. Number 5.
Number 5 is going to be Business of Design's business partner, Sierra Collins, when she's joining you on stage, but I'll still let you read through this one.
Why? Well, you tell us. What is Sierra going to talk about?
Number 5 is you can't swallow an apple whole, take it in small bites. And that's the same way you make progress in your business incrementally, which is what we talk about all the time, especially at BOD Lives, to really break it down. That's how our content is, but don't learn everything you can at once, because learning is endless. There's so much information out there, it just goes and goes. So as you learn each piece of information, take the time to implement before you move on to what's next.
That is so you. Who else could have talked about that but you? That is so Cheryl.
Collins.
Yeah, Sierra Collins. She totally can. She would rock it. Okay, number
Back to
6.
you for number 6.
Back to me for number 6. Okay, this one is really for me. You do not have to make every mistake yourself. You just don't. Like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can just follow a prescribed program that works, not just for me, but for thousands of interior designers around the world. In fact, it's hilarious, but we've had BOD Lives where we've had designers from Ireland, Nigeria, and Malaysia on the same BOD Live. And, of course, North America, Canada, United States, and Australia. So when I first started talking about the struggles I was having in my business, I thought I was the only one. Turns out, not even close. I got sisters in the business all over the world, sisters and misters. And I'm darn happy to know that I'm not alone. You do not have to reinvent the wheel. I promise you, we know what works. Just do what we say. That's a good one. Okay, number 7. Yeah, I love this one too. The boss should have the fewest emails. I learned this one after a series of unfortunate departures in the company. It was so chaotic in my business years ago. People would just quit because they were exhausted. There was too much chaos. Not enough systems means too much chaos. And they would quit. And then I would go to our IT person and say, okay, we have to, shut down their email. And we would discover that they had no emails. They had no correspondence going on with clients or suppliers or vendors of any kind. And I'm like, this is so weird because I got 1,000 emails. How is it that I've had this employee for 3 years who has no emails? What is going on? And a business coach I had said the boss should have the fewest emails. And if you want to know if someone's working, go and check their emails and see how busy they are and how many questions they're answering and how much work they're taking off your plate. And one of these days, Cheryl will have to come back on the show and talk about how to delegate up, because that's your superpower, to tell me what to do. All right, number 8, clients should never have to ask you what's happening next. Goes without saying. Yeah. If a client ever says, what's happening Monday? When's the painter coming? When is the wallpaper guy coming? Somebody hasn't done their job. It's our job to stay ahead of those questions and always let the client know who's coming, when they're coming, what's happening next. Here's what happened this week. Here's what's happening next week. Do you need any more information? Are you comfortable? Everybody's good to go. Like all the time. Updates. Right? Okay. Hit me. Uh-oh.
So Peter and Alex Spalding from Daniel House Club is also going to be joining Kimberley on stage, but we don't want you guys to miss a point. So number 9.
Hey, did you know that 50% of interior design professionals aren't procuring at all for their clients? The reason? It's just too hard. But not with Daniel House Club. They make it easy. DHC simplifies your design business, offering everything you need in one place. No more wasting time managing orders. They've got it covered so you can concentrate on creating beautiful spaces. Plus, they offer some of the best trade pricing on top brands like Theodore Alexander, Jaipur Living, and Rove Concepts with flat rate shipping. To join, visit danielhouse.club and use the promo code BOD2024, all caps, for 50% off your first year of their Pro Plus membership. And for you longtime members of DHC, they want to reward you for your loyalty. Use the code PROFIT2024, all caps, at checkout to receive 10% off the value of your next order. Joining Daniel House Club is like Instacart for your interior design business. Experience how easy managing procurement for your clients can be.
So number 9, talent isn't enough. It doesn't matter how great you are at interior design. If you can't run a business, it's over. Ooh. So you can still touch on that one.
Well, these guys would know. I love these guys so much. As you know, we don't have very many sponsors on Business of Design because when we vet them and we discover that they actually stand to make money off us but not give us much, We say no. Integrity is expensive, let me tell you. We could all have a lot more money over here if we would say yes to everybody. But Peter and Alex struck us so differently. They're brothers. Peter was an interior designer in the trenches. Alex is the business mind. Alex came in to help Peter with his business and realized they need to systematize a lot more of what they were doing. And a big chunk of that was procurement. So that's how we ended up being buddies with them. So I love that. Yeah, if you can't run the business, I mean, it goes back to that. It's 80% business. If you can't run the business, you'll never get a chance to do the 20% you want to do. It's over. Number 10, we're only halfway. Oh my gosh. 100% of the time, oh yeah, 100% of the time, the client's budget will be too small for the client's wish list. Did you hear that? 100% of the time, when your client gives you a budget, it will not be big enough for everything on the wish list. Why is that so important? Because it can free you from trying to chase that number, which is a made-up number, the client's budget. It can liberate you so that instead of worrying about what the client's budget is, you can price the wish list. That's your job. Price the wish list and then let the client decide what can be compromised. What can you let go of? What do they can they do as a phase 2? What can they not live without? I'm continually surprised when my clients don't understand that there are choices that they can make that would allow them to complete the job in the most beautiful way and not compromise the job. But it definitely doesn't mean that we'll just be dabbling a little bit in each room, right? So we'll make sure the client understands if we just finish one room and you love it so much, we'll come back in 3 years and do the next room. And we've got a lot of clients who opt for that and make very smart decisions, and I love those clients. But 100% of the time, the client's budget is not going to match the client's wish list. So just tell them that up front. Number 11. This is Cheryl. Insight is cheap. What matters most?
I think one of the best things that I've realized how to sort of put into words for members when we're on BOD Lives or coaching, whatever it is that you're learning, whether it's listening to this podcast, taking a BOD course, attending a conference, don't take copious notes on what you're hearing. Whatever resonated with you at the time, it's not going to mean the same thing to you in your, shorthand notes. Rather than writing 5 pages of notes, write down 1, 2, 3 next steps. Whatever you heard, what is it that you're actually going to do with that information? And do that. So if you walk away with 2 action items versus 3 pages of notes after listening to maybe a podcast, that's going to be so much more beneficial to what you do next.
Right on. I love that. I'm going to be stepping out of Business of Design now, and Cheryl will be taking over for the rest of our lives. Number 12. Oh my gosh, yeah. Okay, this is my promise to you. You can make a lot more money than you're currently making. I have not yet met a member of Business of Design whose income we couldn't improve, whose profit we couldn't improve, whose profit margin we couldn't improve, whose bottom line we couldn't improve, whose retirement fund we couldn't improve. It hasn't happened. And one of the things that we love and celebrate is when we receive a note, an email, a gift in the mail from someone who says, you changed my life and you tripled my profit. That happens for us all the time. I always send a thank you note back. If you're thinking of sending me something, tequila is the way to go, right? Yeah, you could make a lot more money than you're currently making. I don't care who you are.
This one's hard for people.
This one's hard for people, Cheryl says. Number 13, narrow parameters. Oh yeah, for pre-qualifying clients. So your ideal client can find you. It's hard because it's one of the things you have to do, for example, is create a fee structure that is like fish bait to the client you want to hook. Right? And too often we create a fee structure that we think won't offend people, and then it hooks a client, but not the ideal client. So the more narrow you can get in your pre-qualifying process and your qualifying process, the more likely your ideal client is going to push other people out of the way to get to you and want to hire you over and over and over again, for sure. All right, which number are we on?
We're on 14, but longtime Business of Design member Annie Elliott is going to be joining you on stage. And she's going to be speaking a lot from her experience, again, meeting Kimberley, implementing systems into her business, to talk about number 14, which is repeatable systems, create and maintain order. And now you can delegate. So growing from a solopreneur to having staff, and where systems come into play along that growth process. But speaking from experience.
Oh, I love Annie Elliott. She's a huge success story. You know, we have thousands of success stories at Business of Design, and not any single one of them did we make more talented creatively. No, they had creative talent, they had passion, drive, ambition, but they were willing to implement the things that they learned, and then they've just like blown it out of the park. Like, she's a huge example of that. I love that woman. Okay, number.
You got to keep this one.
Wait.
You got to keep this one short, because I think this one you could talk about for like an hour.
Okay, I'm going to keep this one really short. The right retainer will eliminate your money problems for the most part. Yeah, enough said. I would say thank you to every single person who's hired me for coaching. I love coaching. Frequently, a coaching relationship begins at the moment a client is withholding funds from a designer, and they will call me in frustration and embarrassment and sadness, and we'll have a conversation, and 90% of the time the right retainer would have solved the problem. And it's so sad, because it is a bit like closing the barn door after the horses have gone. Is it horses that get away, or cows? When you close the barn door after the horses are... What? Cheryl's like, I don't know this one. I'm a city kid. You know when they say, like, close the barn door after the horses have gone? Okay. Someone, if you know, it's not just me. For sure it's not me. All right. Yes, it is a bit like closing the barn door after the horses have gone. Yeah, right retainer. So we'll teach you how to make the right retainer. Actually, it's one of the things we talk about in the newest book we have, Run Your Business, because you got to run that business. Number 16. Oh, yeah. Spend more time on step 3. And if you don't know what step 3 is, become a member, right? Step 3 is trade day. It's not just for measuring spaces. It's super complicated, a very important day. And if you spend more time and you're more thorough at step 3, you will make a ton more money with all the other steps. Number 17. Change your mind about scope creep. Yeah, it's kind of a bee in my bonnet. People talking about scope creep this and scope creep that. I love scope creep. Bring it. Right? Even on a flat fee. When a client's giving me more work on a project, it means they trust me and they have confidence that I'm going to be able to get it done. And the only reason it becomes creepy is because the designer doesn't bill for it. So stop creating the creep. It's not the client who creates the creep. It's us shooting ourselves in the foot. I love scope. I love when a scope increases. That if it doesn't increase, I haven't done trade day right. I haven't done step 3 right. And the client's not really 100% confident in me or, trusting me. We just finished a presentation. I mean, what do you call it? A reveal, an installation. Yes. Thank you, Cheryl. What step is that? I forget. We just finished like 10, 11 for clients. And on our way out the door, she's like, oh my God, I just talked to my husband and we've decided to go ahead with phase 2. I mean, this is just like we haven't even left from the installation and they're like ready to roll on phase 2. So that's great. I'm ready to roll too, right? Number 18, we're closing in here. Clients will treat you the way you teach them to treat you. Yeah. So, yeah, you know that, right? Like when I first started out, I'm like, no, it doesn't matter. I'll come over on Sunday night at 10 p.m. I don't care. I don't have a life. My husband will put the kids to bed. I don't care about my kids, or, okay, I won't charge you for that. It's not important to me. Money's not important to me. Or it's okay that you're half an hour late. I don't mind. And then you don't bill them for the half an hour that they were late. Clients will respect the boundaries you give them, provided they're reasonable, and they will be. And you'll have more self-respect, which is really important as well. Number 19. Steps 6 and 7 are way more important than you think. It's interesting. There's sometimes the forgotten steps. When people call us or people call me for coaching, they show up at a live event. They'll go, I rocked it in step 3. It was the best. Or they'll call about step 4. Oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. I can't do it. But steps 6 and 7 are kind of the forgotten steps. And it's a really important piece, an important part of the business of running your projects. And if you're like me, you don't do anything in step 6 and 7. So they're my favorite steps because somebody else in my office does the work. But the work that they do is critically important. And number 20, you're the boss. You make the rules. Make better rules. I remember years ago, I'm really dating myself now. There's an amazing designer named John Saladino from New York City, and he did like spectacular projects in the 80s. And the 90s. So when I was in design school in the 90s, he was like a big deal. And I remember I got to meet him once. I got to interview him on my TV show. And he just told this story of being at a dinner party, and this woman came up to him and said, I would love to hire you, but I could never afford you. And he said, well, if you sell those diamond earrings, you'll be able to afford me. And she did, and she hired him. And I thought, like, that is such an amazing message. Cheryl, what's the number 20 again? I completely lost my train of thought.
You are the boss. You make the rules. Make better rules.
Right. And then we got to talking about something after that. I thought that was hilarious. And I said something about exhausted from working weekends. And he goes, why would you work weekends? And I said, well, because that's when clients need to see you because they work. And he goes, don't be ridiculous. If you need to go to the dentist, they don't come in on Saturday morning at 7 a.m. because it's convenient for the client, do they? I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't really, head blown, So, if you're not having a great time in your business, you need to make better rules. And I'm going to leave you with this last little example. I've talked about her before. I think she's been on the podcast, Beth Halstead. She's a decorative artist. I love her. I've known her for 30 years now, and we've worked together the entire time I've been in business. And she works from 8 a.m. till 3 p.m. And if she's close to finishing a project, she's not staying till 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. And I remember asking her about it one day, and thinking, if you could just finish today, it'd be so much better for us. And she said, no, you do not want a tired, exhausted, grumpy person finishing the decorative artwork on this project. You want a happy, productive person. And so I know I need to get out of here by 3 o'clock so I can be at my 4 o'clock yoga class. And I've told clients that story before when they want me to, squeeze something in, like, no, you do not want a grumpy designer. I'm gonna leave now, and we're gonna handle this next week. And they will respect those boundaries, that's for sure. So there's 20 things we talked about High Point, but you didn't miss a thing, did you, you clever interior design professional, you? It's really been a privilege to host 400 episodes. It's crazy because I haven't aged. 400 episodes, and I look better than, I still do look 20. Cheryl, tell them how I do.
She does still look 20. Yeah, and it's 400 episodes at the same time as we're celebrating 20 years. That we planned that like 4 or 5 years ago when we launched this. Isn't that crazy?
I know. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to us. And wherever you are, we hope you're successful and happy and living your best life. And thank you so much for supporting Business of Design these 20 years. We're looking forward to the next 20. And thank you, Cheryl. Thanks, Janine. Janine, yay. Cheryl, yay. All right, back to loot bags. Next time.